Yo, what's up, horror fans? Welcome back to the channel where we're diving into the spine-chilling recap of Together, the 2025 horror flick that'll make your skin crawl. So picture this. A couple, Tustin and Sarah, decide to go hiking deep in the creepy woods, hoping to rekindle their fading romance. Things start off normal, but not for long. They quickly realize the trail they're on just ends. No path, no signs, nada. Most people would turn back, but not these two. Tustin's determined to keep going, and soon they spot a narrow side path. Here's where it gets weird. There are these old bronze bells hanging from the trees, each one etched with strange symbols. Tustin shrugs it off like it's no big deal and calls Sarah to follow him down the path. Big mistake, folks. This one choice is about to turn their lives into a total nightmare. The next, it's pouring rain like the heavens are angry. As they trudge through the storm, Tustin steps right into a hidden trap. Sarah, being the ride-or-die girlfriend, tries to pull him out. Next thing you know, they both tumble into a dark, damp cave. First instinct? Call for help. But of course, there's zero cell signal out here in the middle of nowhere. With the storm raging outside, they decide to hunker down in the cave for the night. They get lucky and find some dry firewood to keep warm, but their water supply's gone. Desperate, Tustin drinks from the murky pit water. Yep, that's gonna come back to haunt him. Now, let's rewind a bit to give you some context on these two. Tustin and Sarah's relationship has been on the rocks for a while, so they ditched the noisy city life to move into an old house Sarah's parents left her in a quiet town. Sarah, a teacher, lands a job at the local school, and on her first day, she hits it off with a coworker named Wallace. He's super friendly, maybe a little too friendly, and suggests they check out some local spots, including this creepy forest trail they're now stuck in. Back in the cave, they chat about their lives and eventually pass out from exhaustion. Fast forward to morning, and things take a turn for the bizarre. They wake up to find their legs stuck together, like literally fused. Tustin, thinking it's just the damp cave causing some weird mold or something, rips their skin apart. Ouch. Somehow, they manage to climb out of the cave using some vines and make it back home. After this ordeal, their rocky relationship seems to improve a bit. Sarah even asks Tustin for a shoulder massage, feeling all cozy. But when Tustin touches her, he gets this eerie sensation like his hands are merging with her back. He presses harder and Sarah's like, "Yo, that hurts!" She yells at him to stop and Tustin snaps out of it, confused about what just happened. Things don't get any less weird. Sarah heads into town while Tustin decides to take a hot shower to shake off the creepiness. But then, out of nowhere, he loses control of his body, stumbling around the bathroom like he's possessed, almost like he's being pulled towards Sarah as she drives away. When he comes to, he's got no clue what's going on. Freaked out, he heads to the hospital, where the doctor brushes it off as anxiety and prescribes some muscle relaxants. As Tustin's about to leave, the doctor says something cryptic that sticks with him. Back home, Tustin starts digging online and finds reports of another couple who went missing in the same area. The police searched everywhere but found nothing. Spooky, right? Later, Wallace swings by their place for a visit. They tell him about their cave misadventure, and Tustin asks about those weird bronze bells in the woods, wondering if they're tied to some cult. Wallace laughs it off, saying there used to be a small church out there, but it collapsed years ago, and the members vanished. Suspicious much? As they chat, Tustin notices Wallace giving Sarah some flirty looks and even hugging her goodbye. Jealousy kicks in, and the moment Wallace leaves, Tustin pulls Sarah in for a kiss. But when their lips part, it feels like someone took a bite out of him. Ouch. Sarah thinks Tustin bit her and storms off to the bedroom, leaving him standing there, totally confused. That night, things get even creepier. Sarah wakes up feeling like her hair's being yanked. She tries to wake Tustin, but he's out cold. When she flips on the lamp, she screams at the horrifying sight. Tustin jolts awake to find his mouth full of hair. Sarah's hair. He yanks it out, struggling like it's a horror movie tug of war. The next morning, their relationship's back to being tense. Tustin's heading to the city for a performance, and Sarah drives him to the station. She suggests they take a break to cool off after all this weirdness. As she drives away, Tustin starts feeling sick, like something's seriously wrong. He pops one of the doctor's pills, but it does nothing to help. What's happening to him? Meanwhile, Sarah's at school, trying to keep it together while teaching her class. After the bell rings, she spots something odd on a student's desk, a bizarre drawing that gives her the creeps. Later, while video chatting with her bestie in the break room, Sarah catches a glimpse of Tustin outside the window. She rushes out to meet him, but something's seriously off. The dude's burning up, sweating like crazy and acting super strange. In a heated moment, they end up getting frisky in the school bathroom. Yep, you heard that right. But when it's over, they realize they're stuck together, like their bodies are literally fused. They manage to rip themselves apart with brute force, but the commotion draws attention. This kind of stunt at school could get Sarah fired, so she's freaking out. Desperate to keep things under wraps, Sarah heads to Wallace's house to beg him not to spill the beans. They sit down for a chat, and Sarah opens up about all the weird stuff happening with Tustin. Wallace, being all sympathetic, shares that he's been through something similar. He had a lover once, but constant fighting led them to take a break. Before he can finish his story, Sarah spots Tustin's figure outside the window again. She quickly says goodbye and bolts. That night, Tustin's back at home, diving deeper into his internet sleuthing about that missing couple. He discovers their last known photo was taken near that creepy cave, and when he zooms in, he spots those eerie bronze bells in the background. Chills, right? But before he can process it, a loud crash behind him sends him sprawling to the floor. He turns to see a terrifying face pressed against the glass door, which is rattling like it's about to explode. Heart pounding, Tustin yanks the door open, only to be hit by a force that glues him and Sarah together. Again, he screams for her, but she's out cold. In a panic, he slaps her awake, and she's furious, thinking he's attacking her. After clearing things up, they sit at the kitchen table, trying to make sense of this nightmare. Sarah thinks she might be having seizures, but Tustin shuts that down. She's never had a history of epilepsy. He's convinced it's that cursed cave. Ever since they fell in there, weird stuff keeps happening. He tells Sarah about the missing couple, last seen near the same cave, but she brushes it off as nonsense and storms off to bed, telling Tustin to crash in the guest room. In the middle of the night, Tustin feels his body moving on its own, like some invisible force is pulling him. He fights it with everything he's got, but then Sarah's bedroom door creaks open. She steps out, moving in this unnatural, creepy way, inching toward him. Their hands start to fuse together, melting into one another. Thinking fast, Tustin remembers the doctor's pills. With Sarah's help, they grab the bottle, spilling it everywhere. They both down a bunch of pills, hoping for a miracle. It seems to work, just enough for them to rip their hands apart. The pain and the drugs knock them out cold. When Tustin wakes up, he's tied to a chair, staring at a freaking chainsaw on the table. Sarah's standing over him, pouring whiskey down his throat like it's some twisted horror movie ritual. Before he can even process what's happening, she fires up the chainsaw, ready to saw through their fused skin. Their screams echo as they manage to separate their arms, wrapping up the wounds as best they can. Sarah realizes she left the pills at Wallace's house and races over to grab them, while Tustin, convinced the hospital won't help, heads back to the cave to get answers. Inside, he finds a chilling painting on the wall. Two figures with their backs fused together. Meanwhile, Sarah gets to Wallace's place, but no one answers the door. She lets herself in, searching for her keys, when she hears the TV. On the screen, she sees the same disturbing painting from the cave. The broadcast reveals it's part of some twisted cult ritual. Turns out, Wallace and his lover got married in that old church near the cave and performed a fusion ceremony under the cult's watch. Sarah's engrossed when Wallace's voice startles her from behind. She demands to know what the ritual means, and he calmly explains it's a great process to become one with your partner, sharing fears and memories with no barriers. Then, out of nowhere, he slashes her arm with a knife. Sarah fights back, landing a solid punch and bolting out of there. Back at the cave, Tustin's investigation takes a horrifying turn. Something knocks him to the ground, and he's stuck in some slimy goo, unable to move. Then he sees it. A grotesque monster with 2 heads and 4 limbs shambling toward him. He screams for help, but the creature's screaming too. Panicking, Tustin yanks the dagger out to use as a weapon and, in a desperate move, slices off one of the monster's fingers. That gives him just enough time to scramble to his feet and climb out of the cave using a rope. On his way home, he literally bumps into Sarah. Both of them, shaken from everything, try to keep their distance, but it's like some magnetic force pulls them toward each other. They fight it at first, but eventually they give in. In a surreal moment, Tustin drops to one knee, pulls out a ring from thin air, and proposes to Sarah, pouring out all his bottled-up feelings from the past few years. Sarah opens up too, and they realize they're truly inseparable. But just as this heartfelt moment peaks, Tustin pulls out the dagger and holds it to his own throat. He's ready to end his life to break this curse, believing it's the only way out. Before he can act, Sarah, dizzy from blood loss from her earlier wound, collapses. Tustin rushes to her side, instinctively pressing his hand against her wound to stop the bleeding. Time passes, and when Sarah wakes up, she sees their hands have fused together, again. But this time, they both have an epiphany. If they're truly meant to be together, why fight it? They decide to embrace the fusion, letting their bodies and souls become one. Sometime later, Sarah's parents show up to check on them. When the door swings open, they're greeted by a new being, a fused version of Tustin and Sarah, a haunting yet strangely beautiful creation. And that's the end of Together, folks. A mind-bending horror story that takes body horror to a whole new level. This 2025 gem is right up there with the best in the genre, blending creepy creativity with stellar performances from the leads. If you're a fan of twisted, unforgettable horror, you have to check out the full movie. Yo, horror fans, what did you think of Together? That ending was wild. Drop a comment. Did the fusion creep you out or what? Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more spooky recaps. See you next time. Stay creepy.